So today is day 153. We're reading Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. We're going to be reading chapter 7 today. So once again, I'm going to go through the Google form with you. So right here is where you'll find your video, which you're already watching, so you've already figured out how to do that. Then when you click next, you'll get another review of this. So we're going to talk about it right now, so you don't need to click anything. But if you need to go back and look at these notes, they are in your Google Forms section 2. So today we're going to be talking about problem and solution. Remember, the problem is what goes wrong in the story. So there are different types of problems. The two that I want you to think about today are character versus self, a character that's having a problem with making a decision, something that's going on inside of their own head. Or a character versus character, two or more characters having some kind of argument or fight about something, some type of problem that they're having together. And then the solution is how the problem is fixed or solved. Sometimes solutions aren't solved, and we'll talk about examples of that today, and that's called an outcome. So our steps today are to read the question and mark it up. You mark it up in your head because you can't mark it up on the sheet or on the computer. Highlight the clues, so go through it and kind of like show, where you find it. It's not going to stay highlighted, but you can kind of like scroll over it so that you know that you're in the right spot. Think about what you know, why this event would be a problem, and then find evidence. So just like we practiced yesterday, you're going to be finding evidence to support your answer so that you know you got the answer correct. If you can't find evidence, it didn't happen, and then you need to look at your question again and see what the answer might be. So we're going to start with chapter 7 today, the Flying Train Committee. In January, our class started a project on the city. Mrs. Haver, our teacher, divided us up into committees by where we live. That way, we could work at home. My committee was me, Jimmy Fargo, and Sheila. Our topic was transportation. We decided to make my apartment the meeting place because I'm the only one of the three of us who's got his own bedroom. In a few weeks, each committee has to hand in a booklet, a poster, and be ready to give an oral report. The first day we got together after school, we bought a yellow poster board. Jimmy wanted a blue one, but Sheila talked him out of it. Yellow is much brighter, she explained. Everything will show up on it. Blue is too dull. Sheila thinks she's smarter than me and Jimmy put together because she's a girl. So right away, she told us she would be in charge of our booklet and me and Jimmy could do most of the poster. As long as we check with her first to make sure she likes our ideas. We agreed, since Sheila promised to do 10 pages of the written work and we would only do 5. After we bought the yellow poster board, we went to the library. We took out 7 books on transportation. We wanted to learn all about speed, traffic congestion, and pollution. We arranged to meet on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons for the next 2 weeks. Our first few committee meetings turned out like this. We got to my place by 3:30, had a snack, and then played with Dribble for another half an hour. Sheila gave up on cooties when Fudge lost his front teeth, but it still isn't much fun to have her hanging around. She's always complaining that she got stuck with the worst possible committee, and that me and Jimmy fool more than we work. We only put up with her because we have no choice. Sheila and Jimmy have to be home for supper at 5:30. Before 5:30, I'm sorry. So at 5 o'clock, we start cleaning up. We keep our equipment under my bed in a shoebox. We have a set of magic markers, Elmer's glue, Scotch tape, a really sharp pair of scissors, and a container of silver sparkle. Sheila carries our committee's booklet back and forth with her. She doesn't trust us enough to leave it at my house. The poster board fits under my bed, along with our supplies. We stack the library books on my desk. The reason I make sure we clean up good is that my mother told me if I left a mess, we'd have to find someplace else to work. By our third meeting, I told Jimmy and Sheila that I'd figured out the solution to New York's traffic problems. We have to get rid of traffic, I said. There shouldn't be any cars, buses, taxis allowed in the city. What we really need is a citywide monorail system. So right there, they give you a problem and a solution. Problem is the traffic, solution is monorail system. That's not one of the examples that we're looking at today, but I just thought I would give it to you. That's too expensive, Sheila said. It sounds good, but it's not practical. I disagree, I told Sheila. It's very practical. Besides, getting rid of traffic, it'll get rid of air pollution, and it'll get people where they are going a lot faster. But it's not practical, Peter. Sheila said again. It costs too much. I opened one of my books on transportation and read Sheila a quote. A monorail system is the hope of the future. I cleared my throat and looked up. But we can't write a report just about the monorail, Sheila said. We'll never be able to fill 20 pages with that. We can write big, Jimmy suggested. No, Sheila said. I want a good mark on this project. Peter, you can write 5 pages about the monorail system and how it works. Jimmy, you can write your 5 pages about pollution caused by transportation. And I'll write my 10 pages on the history of transportation in the city. Sheila folded her arms and smiled. Can I write big? Jimmy asked. I don't care how big you write as long as you put your name on your 5, Sheila told him. That's not fair, Jimmy said. This is supposed to be a group project. Why should I have to put my name on my 5 pages? Then don't write big, Sheila shouted. Okay. I'll write so small Miss Haver will need a microscope to see my letters. Very funny, Sheila said. Look, I told both of them. I think our written work should be in the same handwriting. That's the only fair way. Otherwise, Mrs. Haver will know who did what, and it won't be a group project. Say, that's a good idea, Jimmy said. Which one of us has the best handwriting? Me and Jimmy looked at Sheila. Well, I do have a nice even script, Sheila said. But if I'm going to copy over your written work, you better give it to me by next Tuesday. Otherwise, I won't have enough time to do the job. And you two better get going on your poster. Sheila talked like she was the teacher and we were the kids. Me and Jimmy designed the whole poster ourselves. We used the pros and cons of each kind of transportation. It was really clever. We divided the chart into land, sea, air, and we planned an illustration for each, with an airplane done in silver sparkle and the letters done in red and blue magic marker. We got halfway through the lettering that day. We also sketched in the ship and the plane and the truck. When Sheila saw it, she asked us, Is that supposed to be a train? No, I told her, it's a truck. It doesn't look like one, she said. It will, Jimmy told her, when it's finished. I hope so, Sheila said, because right now it looks like a flying train. That's because the ground's not under it yet, Jimmy said. Yeah, I agreed. See, we've got to make it look like it's on a street. Right now, it does kind of look like it's up in space. So does the ship, Sheila said. We'll put some water lines around it, I told her. And some clouds around the plane, Sheila said. Listen, Jimmy hollered. Did anybody ever tell you you're too bossy? This poster is ours. You do the booklet, remember? That's the way you wanted it. See, there you go again, Sheila said. You keep forgetting this is a committee. We're supposed to work together. Working together doesn't mean you give the orders and we carry them out, Jimmy said. My feelings exactly, I thought. Sheila didn't answer Jimmy. She picked up her things, got her coat, and left. I hope she never comes back, Jimmy said. She'll be back, I told him. We're her committee. Jimmy laughed. Yeah, we're all one happy committee. I put our poster under our bed, said goodbye to Jimmy, and then washed up for supper. So, right here is where we're going to pause. So now, this is where you'll see, so here's my example. So day 153, Mrs. Falvey's example. So this is the part of the text I'm going to look back at when I'm answering my questions. So first I want to mark this up. What is the main problem in this section of the text? So I would highlight main problem. That's what I'm looking for in this section. So I'm looking over it and it starts where they're starting to talk about the project. And it looks like it's that they're arguing. Jimmy, Sheila, and Peter can't make a decision or can't agree on stuff. So Sheila, basically it's Jimmy and Peter versus Sheila. So it's character versus character conflict. Jimmy and Peter are wanting to work together and make decisions together, and Sheila is being really bossy and telling them what to do. So it kind of comes to a head down here where they're like, listen, Jimmy hollered. Did anybody ever tell you you're too bossy? This poster is ours. You do the booklet. Remember, that's the way you wanted it. See, there you go again, Sheila said. You keep forgetting this is a committee. We're supposed to work together. Working together doesn't mean you give orders and we carry them out, Jimmy said. My feelings exactly, I thought. And then that's when Sheila left. So the main problem here is that they're arguing. So which one fits with that? Fudge is making it difficult for them to complete the project. So Fudge isn't involved, so that's definitely not our answer. Sheila keeps telling them what to do instead of working together on the project. That seems like it's possible because Sheila was being bossy and they're not working together. She's just telling them what to do. Jimmy's writing is too small. So they do talk about his handwriting, but that's not actually the problem. He's just kind of making a joke when he's arguing with Sheila. And Jimmy doesn't have enough time to work on the project. They don't talk about time being an issue. So I know our answer is Sheila keeps telling them what to do. Now, which evidence proves that she's telling them what to do? So I want to find evidence that shows Sheila telling them what to do and that they're not working. So, okay, I'll write so small that Miss Haver will see need a microscope to see the letters. That's Jimmy talking, so that's not telling me Sheila's telling them what to do. Working together doesn't mean you give the orders and we carry them out, Jimmy said. So that's Jimmy talking to Sheila, telling her that, like, you can't keep giving us orders. So that's definitely under telling them what to do. She picked up her things, her coat, and left. I hope she never comes back, Jimmy said. So that doesn't tell me, that's more after the problem. That's not telling me what the problem is. Because the problem isn't that she left. The problem is that they can't decide on stuff. Which one of us has the best handwriting? Me and Jimmy looked at Sheila. Well, I do have a nice even script, Sheila said. So that's actually a part where they are making a decision together. So that would not be her telling them what to do. That's them all like deciding on something together. So what is the solution to the problem? Now, this is where it gets different because down here, Sheila leaves. So there's actually not a solution to this problem right now. So I would say there's not a solution to the problem. At the end of this section, Sheila, the outcome, because it's an outcome, the outcome is that Sheila leaves the apartment. So then I would press submit. I also screenshotted it, so you'll see here. So if you want to look over this example again and you don't want to go through the video again, and you just want to like look back, I showed you exactly how I did it here. So then since you've already seen this, if you don't need to review it, you can press next again. And then when we're done reading, you will come and you will do this one on your own. So we're going to keep reading the story now and see what happens because there turns out to be some more problems, some more issues that arise, and we will see if Sheila comes back and if they get it figured out. Sheila didn't answer Jimmy. She picked up her things, got her coat, and left. I hope she never comes back, Jimmy said. She'll be back, I told him. We're her committee. Jimmy laughed. Yeah, we're all one happy committee. I put our poster under the bed, said goodbye to Jimmy, and then washed up for supper. My mother was being pretty nice about our committee meetings. She arranged to have Fudge play at Ralph's apartment on Tuesdays and Jenny's on Thursdays. Sam has the chicken pox, so he can't play at all. I was glad that next week would be our last committee meeting after school. I was sick of Sheila, and I was getting sick of transportation. Besides, now that I knew the monorail system was the only way to save our city, I was getting upset that the mayor and all the other guys that run things at the city hall weren't doing anything about installing one. If I know that's the best method of city transportation, how come they don't know it? The next day, when I came home from school, I went into my bedroom to see Dribble, like I always do. Fudge was in there, sitting on my bed. Why are you in my room? I asked him. He smiled. Uh-oh, let's listen carefully. You know you're not supposed to be in here. This is my room. Want to see? Fudge said. See what? Want to see? What are you talking about? I asked. He jumped off the bed and crawled underneath it. He came out with our poster. He held it up. See? He said. Pretty. What did you do? I yelled. What did you do to our poster? It was covered all over with scribbles in every color magic marker. It was ruined. It was a mess, and it was ruined. I was ready to kill Fudge. I grabbed my poster and ran into the kitchen to show my mother. I could hardly speak. Look, I said, feeling a lump in my throat. Just look at what he did to my poster. I felt tears come to my eyes, but I didn't care. How could you let him? I asked my mother. How Don't you care about me? I threw the poster down and I ran into my room. I slammed the door, took off my shoe, and flung it at the wall. It made a black mark where it hit. Well, so what? Soon I heard my mother hollering and then Fudge crying. After a while, my mother knocked on my bedroom door and called, "Peter, may I come in?" I didn't answer. She opened the door and walked over to my bed. She sat down next to me. "I'm very sorry," she said. I still didn't say anything. "Peter," she began. I didn't look at her. She touched my arm. "Peter, please, listen." "Don't you see, Mom? I can't even do my homework without him messing it up. It just isn't fair. I wish he was never born. Never. I hate him." "You don't hate him," my mother said. "You just think you do." "Don't tell me," I said. "I mean it. I really can't stand that kid." "You're angry," my mother told me. "I know that, and I don't blame you. Fudge had no right to touch your poster. I spanked him." "You did?" I asked. "Fudge never gets spanked. My parents don't believe in spanking." "You really spanked him?" I asked again. "Yes," my mother said. "Hard?" I asked. "On his backside," she told me. I thought that over. "Peter," my mother put her arm around me. "I'll buy you a new poster board tomorrow. It was really my fault. I should never have let him into your room." "That's why I need a lock on my door," I said. "I don't like locks on doors. We're a family. We don't have to lock each other out. If I had a lock, Fudge wouldn't have gotten my poster." "It won't happen again," my mother promised. I want to believe her, but really I didn't. Unless she tied him up, I knew my brother would get into my room again. The next day, while I was at school, my mother bought a new yellow poster board. The hard part was explaining to Jimmy that we have to start all over again. He was a really good sport about it. He said this time he'd make sure his truck didn't look like a flying train. And I said this time I'd make pencil marks first so my letters didn't go uphill. Our committee met after that afternoon. Sheila didn't mention the last time. Neither did we. Me and Jimmy worked on our poster while Sheila copied our written work into the booklet. We'd be ready to give our oral report to the class on Monday. Not like some committees who hadn't even started yet. By 5 o'clock, we finished our poster, and Sheila was almost done with the cover of our booklet. Jimmy walked over and stood behind her, watching her work. After a minute, he yelled, "What do you think you're doing, Sheila?" I got up from the floor and joined them at my desk. I took a look at the cover. It was pretty nice. It said, "Transportation in the City." Under that, it said, "By Sheila Tubman, Peter Hatcher, and James Fargo." And under that, in small letters, it said, "Handwritten by Miss Sheila Tubman." So if you remember, they're still in an argument, and now, once again, they're mad at Sheila. So let's see what happens. Now I knew why Jimmy was mad. "Oh, no," I said, holding my hand to my head. "How could you?" Sheila didn't say anything. "It's not fair," I told her. "We didn't put our names on the poster." "But the cover's all done," Sheila said. "Can't you see that? I'll never get the letters so straight again. It looks perfect." "Oh, no," Jimmy shouted. "We're not handing the booklet in like that. I'll rip it up before I let you." He grabbed the booklet and threatened to tear it in half. Sheila screamed, "You wouldn't. I'll kill you. Give it back to me, Jimmy Fargo." She was ready to cry. I knew Jimmy wouldn't tear it up, but I didn't say so. "Peter, make him give it back." Will you take your hand off the line? Will you take off that line about your handwriting?" I asked. "I can't. I'll ruin the booklet." "Then I think he should rip it up," I said. Sheila stamped her foot. "Oh, I hate you both." "You don't really," I told her. "You just think you do." "I know I do," Sheila cried. "That's because you're angry right now," I said. I couldn't help smiling. Sheila jumped up and tried to get the booklet, but Jimmy held it over his head. And he's much taller than Sheila. She had no chance. Finally, she sat down and whispered, "I'll give up. You win. I'll take my name off." "You promise?" Jimmy asked. "I promise," Sheila said. Jimmy set the booklet down on my desk in front of Sheila. "Okay," he said, "start." "I'm not going to make a whole new cover," Sheila said. "What I'll do is turn the bottom line into a decoration." She picked up a magic marker and made little flowers out of the words. Soon, handwritten by Sheila Tubman, turned into 16 small flowers. There, Sheila said. It's done. Looks pretty good, I told her. It would have looked better without those flowers, Jimmy said, but at least it's fair now. That night, I showed my mother and my father our new poster. They thought it was great, especially our Silver Sparkle airplane. My mother put the poster on top of the refrigerator so it would be safe until the next day when I would take it to school. Now I had nothing to worry about. Sheila had the booklet, the poster was safe, and our committee was finished before schedule. I went into my room to relax. Fudge was sitting on the floor near my bed. My shoebox of supplies was in front of him. His face was a mess of magic marker, colors, and he was using my extra sharp scissors to snip at his hair. And the hair he snipped was dropping into Dribble's bowl, which he had in front of him on the floor. See, he said, see, Fudgy's a barber. That night, I found out hair doesn't hurt my turtle. I picked off every strand from his shell. I cleaned out his bowl and washed his rocks. He seemed happy. 2 things happened the next day. One was my mother had to take Fudge to the real barber to do something about his hair. He had plenty left in back, but just about nothing in the front and on top. The barber said there wasn't much he could do until his hair grew back. Between his fangs and his hair, he was getting funnier looking every day. The second was my father came home with a chain latch for my bedroom door. I could reach it when I stood up on my tiptoe, but that brother of mine couldn't reach it, no matter what. Our committee was the first to give its report. Mrs. Haver said we did a super job. She liked our poster a lot. She thought the Silver Sparkle airplane was the best. The only thing she asked us was, how come we included a picture of a flying train? All right, that's the end of chapter 7. So now you need to go to your document and you have 3 questions. What was the main problem in this section of the story? What piece of evidence supports your answer? And what was the solution to that problem? And then press submit. See you tomorrow for chapter 8.